Okay, guys, I am now doing the Eddy and Eddy Q&A. And as always, if I didn't answer someone's question, that probably means YouTube either marked it as spam or as, they didn't even bother having it show up on the list, because YouTube can be a dick like that. So I do apologize in advance for that, if in case I didn't get answer someone's question or something like that. It was usually just YouTube's fault. So again, I apologize in advance for that. Anyway, so let's get on with the questions, shall we? Let's see here. First question comes from Carter Halo 255, who asks, Rolf versus Batman. Well, Batman is pretty tough. I mean, he's one of the greatest DC superheroes ever. But I doubt he is any match for the dreaded three-shoe beating, or the hat of discipline. So, Batman is no match for the merciless three-shoe beating. That's what I think. Next question. So think of that question. Cartoon Wizard XL asks, why is Eddy and Eddy my favorite television show ever? I have no idea. I'm not you, so... if you, I like it just fun. I like it. It's one of my favorite shows as well. But, I don't know why it's your favorite. I'm not you, so that's something you'll have to ask. That's like some soul searching right there. So there you go. Yogurs Vasaurus. I'm so sorry. I butcher that name all the time. I do apologize again. I butchered that name. But he asks, do you support the purgatory theory of the show? The purgatory theory. I've heard of this, the purgatory theory. The purgatory theory is basically saying that, the children are all dead and they live in, like, little purgatory forever. I don't put any stock into it. I really don't. I mean, everyone has their own creepy cartoon theories in one way or another. But I don't really put much stock into it, because mostly, a lot of these theories are really depressing. So think of that question, and I'm sorry again, I butchered your name for the third time, probably. Gonzo Loco 1 asks, have you read the Ed, and Eddy fanfiction, The Grim Adventures of Ed and Eddy? What do I know about it? I've actually read the Grim Adventures of Ed and Eddy. I've actually read it. It was a lot of fun. And actually, I almost wrote this. I literally almost wrote this. This is a fan fiction, The Grell Adventures of Dipper and Mabel, which was for the where it follows Dipper and Mabel forcing Grell from Black Butler to be their friend. You know Grell, the transsexual Grim Reaper who has a chainsaw, and the whole idea was that it's kind of like the pilot episode of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, where pretty much what happens is that Grell comes to collect Waddle's soul, and Dipper and Mabel beat him in a game, and then Grell is forced to be their friend for the rest of their lives. Yep. So yeah, but then I thought to myself, well, I'd just be ripping off the Grim Adventure, so I really don't want to do that to the author. So yeah, this almost inspired me to do the Grell Adventures of Dipper and Mabel. Yeah. But yeah, I really do like that fanfiction. I think it's a very well done, very well put together story. I think it's a pretty awesome. So thank you for that question. Next comes from Predator Warrior 18, and he asks, if the Eds were being chased by the cul-de-sac kids and they didn't do anything wrong, would you help them out, or how would you do it? Basically, he's asking, if I saw that all of them being chased by the Eds, I would just be like, I'll do what I do in real life. Shit, that ain't my business. Fuck that. I ain't bothering with that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, so I'd just be like, well, hope you survive. Later. So thank you for that question, Predator Warrior 18. Next questions come from Fire Tools. First question is, what Pokemon would you pair with the Eds, Rolf, Kevin, and Jimmy? Okay, what Pokemon would I pair with each of the Eds? I don't know exactly. Like I could see for Rolf, like Milk Tank. Yeah, Milk Tank and like all these different farm animal like Pokemon, yeah, all these farm Pokemon you'd see on a farm in the show. Kevin I would see around with fighting type Pokemon, and Jimmy would be a lot of cutesy Pokemon like Teddy Ursa or something like that. Yeah, Teddy Ursa and those kind of Pokemon. Ed would probably, Double D would probably have machine type Pokemon like a Magnemite or a Magneton. Ed would probably have some disgusting monster looking Pokemon, maybe some ghost types. But I could definitely see like his Pokemon would be a Muck. Yeah, his favorite Pokemon would be Muck. Like he would just like hug, like you would see him hugging Muck and just be like, "Oh yeah, you're poison. You've got a poisonous body, Muck." Yeah, yeah, it would be. Yeah, Ed would so have Muck as his Pokemon or his favorite Pokemon. Eddy, I don't know. Maybe Meowth. Maybe a Meowth or something like that. I don't know. Let's think of that question. Alright, next question. What 3 fictional alien races you know would... how would the Eds react to the... Yeah. Let me try saying this question again. What 3 fictional alien races you know would the Eds react to the most? Interesting. I'm gonna say for like the Klingons. The Klingons would definitely like kill the Eds in a second. The Vervoids from Terror of the Vervoids in Doctor Who. They'd be like Eddy. Ed would be like, why do the plants have mom part mouths? Because their mouths look. They're okay. If you've never seen that story, Terror of the Vervoids, these creatures called the Vervoids are like these are like these killer plant creatures, but they have mouths that literally look like vaginas. I'm not kidding. So they'd be like, I don't know, ugh. Like they would just be completely just confused by that. And the third race, I guess Romulans, they'd be shot in an instant as well. So thank you for those questions, Fire Tools. Now moving on to JDX629, whose first question is, what would happen if Ed met Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory? No building would be safe. Nowhere would be safe, because if you put those two in a room together, the whole room's going to be... You can put it in the most secure building ever. You can put them like in a prison cell equivalent to... a prison cell equivalent to like something that would hold Magneto or something. They're gonna get out because the whole thing's gonna get destroyed. Second question: if you could pick 2 characters to fight Peter Griffin chicken style, who would they be? I guess 2 Ed characters. I guess like from Ed, Edd and Eddy. I think it would just be Kevin and... Eddy and Kevin having this big chicken fight. Like, something equivalent to the chicken fight. Something like that, and that would be pretty cool. If they made a new... and your third question is, if they made a new Ed, Edd and Eddy video game, what would you want it to be like? I don't know, maybe like something like a fighting game? I don't think we got a fighting game. We got all these adventure games from Ed, Edd and Eddy, and they were all pretty good. I thought they were all pretty decent. But maybe it'd be cool to have like a fighting game. I think that would be pretty fun to have like a fighting game called Backyard Brawls or something. Just have like the whole story is Eddy comes up with a scheme to make like to make a wrestling arena, and he brings everyone there. You can play as Rolf, you can play as the Kanker sisters. All the character. You can each character from the Ed, Edd and Eddy show. I'd even have Eddy's brother as like a secret character you can unlock. But yeah, each one would have their own different styles. You could pick up weapons. Something like a fun video fighting game. Yeah, something like that. So, anyway, your next question... Oh yeah, those were all your questions, so thank you for those questions, JDX. Next is Mitchmeister. Mitch Meister says, would you like to see a reboot or a continuation of the series? I would love to see... I don't want to see a reboot, I want to see I would love to see a continuation of the series. And that's probably what we're going to get from the IDW comics. We're probably going to get like a continuation of the series in the IDW comics like they're doing with like the Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab and all that. And yeah, it's only a matter of time before IDW does that, so really looking forward to, you know, an Ed, and Eddy comic book ongoing series. Anyway, so thank you for that question, Mitch Meister. Next comes Travis Rendon, who asks, besides Ed and Marie, what other characters do you like? Ed, you can't go wrong with, you know, big one eyebrow Ed boy. And Rolf's another one, because Rolf just says the most insane things, and they're hilarious. Rolf's eyes fill the brain of Rolf! What, dude? Rolf's eyes fill the brain of Rolf. Must I spell it? We have guessed. Anyway, so yeah, I guess, yeah, Ed and Rolf as well. Okay, why do you think that... Okay, second question. Why do you think they never had the parents in the show, even though they talk about them in a few episodes? Well, we do kind of see in one episode where Double D has to get the report cards to Ed and Eddy's parents, and we see his dad's huge arm and, you know, Ed's mom's hand as well. I don't know, like, maybe in the series, if it continued, maybe we get to see the parents. I don't know, I think that'd be pretty cool. Third question, what other cartoon characters from any other cartoon could you see hook up with the Eds? I don't know, like team up or hang out? Maybe the cast of Hey Arnold. Yeah, the cast of Hey Arnold hanging out with the Eds. That'd be pretty fun. That would be pretty cool. Maybe even like maybe from All Grown Up as well. That'd be interesting. Anyway, any of those questions, Travis? Next comes Jerkwater100, whose first question is: Ed meets Jet Jaguar. What will happen? It becomes the Iron Giant, but with the Eds. Literally, it would be like the Iron Giant, but with the Eds. And, you know, Ed being like, "This is so cool! Giant robot!" Yeah. So there you go. Okay, second question. Which character would you like to beat up? Kevin or Robbie from Gravity Falls? It's gotta be Robbie. Because sometimes Kevin is justified in his hatred of the Eds, because they do a lot of wrong. Despite, you know, Double D saying, we should do good here. But Robbie's just a straight up dick, so I'd beat the piss out of him. Kevin's at some points, keyword some points, has, you know, he's trying to, you know, he is better off. Okay, your third question is, who is your favorite voice actor or actress in the show? Kathleen Barr, who does the voice of Kevin and Marie. Yeah, she does the a woman, yeah, for those who don't know, yeah, Kathleen Barr was the voice of Kevin. So yeah, Kathleen Barr, of course, Matt Hill and Samuel Vincent. Those two, of course, Matt Hill and Samuel Vincent is the voice of Ed and Double D. They're very, you know, they're awesome in everything you see them in. It's always cool to see them in something. So those are my favorites. So think of those questions, Jerkwater. Next, going on to Wolfman the Impaler, whose first question is: if the Eds met the Autobots, which bot would be the guardians to which Ed? Okay, first and foremost, Perceptor. Perceptor would so be Double D's partner. Let's face it, they're both into science. Hell, Perceptor turns into a microscope. He literally turns into a microscope. How would he not be, you know, Double D's partner? Perceptor would so be his partner. So yeah, Perceptor and Double D. For Ed, I don't know about Ed though. Ed's a little tough, so maybe someone who can be tough, like maybe not Ironhide, but someone who's good-natured, like maybe Bumblebee would put up with him. And I would put Eddy with Gears. Yeah, Gears, because they're both sarcastic, they're both just angry with everybody. So, Gears. So, thank you for that. Second question: how would the Eds react to the Game Grumps from Team 4 Star? Oh, they would laugh. Like, I would just imagine Eddy on part of his, if he had a YouTube page, that would be on the Game Grumps, and Team 4 Star would be on his subscription list. So yeah, I could see him spending hours watching Game Grumps and Team 4 Star. Probably even Ed too. Double D probably not. Next question: how do you support the idea of Eddy being related to the following characters? Grunkle Stan, Dan from Dan Versus, Ricky from Trailer Park Boys, and Nick from Left 4 Dead. I never heard of these supporting ideas. This is the first for me. But if I was to say if anyone was like, if he was like anyone on the show, it'd be Ricky. Yeah, he would definitely be related to Ricky from Trailer Park Boys. Because let's face it, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Trailer Park Boys is Ed and Eddy for grown-ups. That is literally what it is. Go on Netflix right now, binge watch the first season, and tell me that Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles are not Ed and Eddy if they were grown up. You cannot tell me otherwise. Anyway. So, thank you for those questions, Wolfman the Impaler. Moving on now to Dylan Malone 14, who asks, if you can kill anyone off in the show, who would it be and how would everyone react? I think the one person I would kill off is maybe Jimmy. I would kill off Plank, now that I think about it. Yeah, I would kill off Plank and make it that, it's like the death in the family, but with Ed and Eddy, and just have like I would love to see that a parody cover of like Johnny holding a broken Plank in his arms, and it looks exactly right out of Death in the Family. Oh, that'd be great. So yeah, kill off Plank, and then it will be like a big event, the death of Plank. Anyway. Your second question is, if the cul-de-sac was used to be as a portal to release a demon god by an insane cult, what will happen and how would they stop them? Wow, that's a very interesting question right there. I don't know really, because I've seen fan fiction of like that where it has the whole demon cult thing. I don't know really. I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how to respond to that. Sorry. Alright, so sorry, I just don't know how to answer that question. Your third question is, what will you do what will you do if you were writing... Okay, what would you do if you were writing the next Ed, Edd n Eddy movie? I think what I would do is have them, maybe they're headed off to high school, they're starting off in high school, and kind of expand more on, Eddy not wanting to grow up, and, everyone's there in high school, and things are changing very much, and maybe expand more on the Eds and the Cankers' growing relationship. Maybe really kind of expand more on that. So that's what I think I would do. That's something maybe I would do. Anyway, so thank you for those questions, Dylan Malone. Next set of questions come from Matt Bennett, whose first question is, if you were forced to hang out with either Sarah or Johnny or the Kanker sisters, who would you choose and why? I think I would hang out with the Kanker sisters. They just look like they would just... I don't know. I think we'd all just kick back and watch TV. I don't know. Maybe it just... I don't know. Sarah I would get super tired of, and Johnny, I think I would crack his skull open with a crowbar. So the Kanker sisters, I could probably fight them off if they got a little too amorous. But, Kanker sisters sounds like the lesser of three evils. Second question is, what are your thoughts on the series finale Big Picture show? I really liked it. I thought it was a great way to end this series. We finally got to see Eddy's brother. We got to see everything that was done with the series. I thought it was a really nice ending, all in all. I just thought it was a nice ending throughout, all the way through. There was also some really great jokes here and there. Although, I got pissed off at Danny Antonucci for saying, we were finally going to see what was under Double D's hat, but we never got it. So, Screw you, Antonucci, for that. But everything else was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. And third question: what are some of your favorite episodes from the first 3 seasons of the show? To Sir with Ed, the episode where Naz comes over and is like his babysitter, and Eddy thinks it's a date. The first appearance of the Cankers is another good one. I love the episode where, Ed pretends to be a monster. Those are just a few right there from the first 3 seasons. I think the monster one's from one of the first 3 seasons. Could be wrong, though. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Matt. Now moving on to Christian Sager, whose first question is, how would you do an episode with more adult themes or message if given the chance? I think I would do something along the lines of maybe with adult themes like Eddy trying to sell pot, Eddy trying to sell pot and Double D's Double D's trying to be like, no, Eddy, this is a horrible idea. This is terrible. What the hell were you thinking? Yeah, so Eddy selling pot to make money. And it gets them into one wacky adventure after another, similar to Pineapple Express. So, anyway. Okay. Second question. Since you are a brony, how would the Eds react to Equestria and its residents or villains? Okay, so I think if the Eds somehow wound up in Equestria, I think what would happen is something along the lines of talking ponies everywhere and Double D completely, disbelieving the idea of magic as a use and being like, ha, magic, it's just advanced science, that's all it is. And Ed would have a time of his life, especially if he found Scootaloo. He'd be like, chicken! Pony chicken! Bet the pony, bet the pony. Alright, next question Alright, your third question is, would you give any residents of the cul-de-sac lives, or would you stick with what you and Sickrick Joseph said about Where Would They Be Now segment? For those who don't know, I did a segment a while ago called Where Would They Be Now? With my good friend Sickrick Joseph. And the first one we did was Ed, Edd n Eddy. And we talked about all these horrible endings for all the Ed characters. Like we made Double D the next Walter White. Yeah. So I think just for the hell of it, I think I would stick with everyone. I would stick with all that. I would stick with all of that. I'd stick with everything we said with Where Would They Be Now segment, because that was too damn funny. So think of those questions, Christian Sager. Now going on to Major Badass, whose first question is, would you watch a movie or special where all the cul-de-sac kids return as adults and reunite, also with their kids having new adventures? I think that would be pretty cool, but I think the difference is I would do it as a series and have them all in the trailer park and just make an animated version of Trailer Park Boys. I would honestly do that. I would just honestly make it Trailer Park Boys, the animated series, but with just focus on Double D, Eddy, and Ed, more or less living in the trailer park and married to each of their respective Canker sisters. And I think the start of the show, I would have it that Eddy just got out of jail after trying to sell a police officer some pot, and he's gotten out of jail now. Lee's kicked him out of the house, and now he's now living in Marie and Double D's shack in the back of their yard. And Ed is sleeping in an old car just for shits and just because he can't afford anything. He just lives in a broken down car right outside Double D's house. But yeah, I would have Kevin is the trailer park landlord, and him and Naz have divorced after they've had a few kids, but now they've divorced. Rolf would be his second in command, would be Kevin's second in command. Just crazy shit like that. That's what I would do. Just crazy shit like that, Second question, do you have any ships in the show? Do I have any ships? Okay, do I have any ships in the show? Yeah, first and foremost, Double D and Marie. I absolutely love Double D and Marie together. That's probably my favorite pairing ever. That's probably my favorite pairing ever. In animation-wise. But yeah, Double D and Marie. Those two right there. And I like, Eddy with Lee and Ed with May. I like those pairings as well. I really do like those. The Eds with the Cankers, because let's face it, no other woman is going to touch the Eds. It's amazing that the Cankers can put up with them in their weird, unhealthy obsessions, but let's face it, they're going to be stuck with them. But let's see. Your third question is, would you like to revamp the show with a new style and have it modernized? Well, I think I kind of answered this question already of yours. Basically make it like Trailer Park Boys, the animated series. That's what I would do. So yeah, I think by accident I already answered your question twice, so I would just use the same answer I had for the first question and apply it to here. So anyway, think of those questions, Major Badass. It's always good to hear good questions, and from you, Major Badass. Sorry I didn't use the voice. My throat is all ripped up, so that's what happens when you have a flu. It's amazing I'm doing this now. Anyway, Robert Avram. His first question is, have you ever met anyone in your life that is just like one of the Ed, Edd n Eddy characters? I don't think I have. I don't think I've ever met anyone in my life that's like the Ed, Edd n Eddy characters. I don't think I've ever met anyone who matches up with the Ed, Edd n Eddy characters. If I do, you'll be the first to know. And your second question is, if you could talk with any one of the characters from the show, what would you say and do with them? I think if I could hang out with anyone, it would be Double D, and just kind of talk about, why do you hang out with Eddy and Ed? You're smarter than this. You can just leave them, just leave them be. I know they're the only friends you got, but they are some shit people, especially Eddy. So yeah, I just want to get into his mind and see why he hangs out with those two. And your third question is, if they were to ever continue the show someday or reboot the series, who would you want to direct the reboot? And if they did a reboot of this series, who would you want in charge of the show? I think that's the answer he's asked. So, director. I'm going to answer this question because he's asking who would I want in charge of the show and who would I want to direct that. Well, I want Antonucci back. I think Antonucci, of course, this is his creation, so I'd like him to come back and do some more Ed, Edd n Eddy. But with a more adult tone, like I said, make it like the animated version of Trailer Park Boys. Who would I want, doing writing for the show? I think, some good comedy writers. I don't know exactly who you could get, but, I don't know. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Robert Avram. Next, moving on to Matt Kaiser 08. First question is, what would Splinter, the TMNT, Splinter, April, Casey, and Karai think of the Eds? Oh, they would think they're all idiots. Yeah, they just look at him and go, God, you are all completely stupid. You are just all stupid. Yeah, they would have no... I think Eddy would try to hit on Karai or April. And of course, Donnie and Casey would not have... And Leo would not have them hitting on their girls. So your second question is, Sarah and Pacifica from Gravity Falls, who would you rather choke out? I gotta go with your answer, Matt Kaiser. Sarah, because she's as annoying as all hell. I would choke the shit out of her. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next set of questions. Okay, so next set of questions come from Darth Venom, whose first question is, what would the Avengers, the Justice League, the USS Enterprise crew, and the 10th Doctor think of the Eds and the other kids? I think for the Avengers and Justice League, it would be like, okay, these kids are in the way, but that one kid, the kid with the unibrow, is incredibly strong. The crew of the USS Enterprise would just be like, I guess there isn't intelligent life out there sometimes. And the Doctor would be pretty interested. I think he would be interested in having Double D come along with him on a few adventures, and maybe Marie as well. Who is the bigger prick, Eddy or his brother? You gotta give it to Eddy, because a lot of that does come from his brother, but I think, yeah, Eddy has a bit of more of a heart to him, so I'm gonna say his brother's kind of a huge prick. And your final question is, what are your thoughts on an Ed, Edd and Eddy Three Stooges crossover? I would really love that. Because again, Ed, Edd and Eddy, it feels a lot like, even though I say it has a lot of Trailer Park Boys came first, technically. I mean, not first, after Ed, Edd and Eddy. And you can see a lot of the Three Stooges in Ed, Edd and Eddy. I mean, hell, they're the originators of that comical trio, so without the Three Stooges, there probably wouldn't be an Ed, Edd and Eddy or Trailer Park Boys. So, I would really like that. I think it would be really cool to see that, Moe, Curly, and Larry, like, maybe they've moved to the, cul-de-sac to get jobs as, like, construction workers for building new houses. And, what happens is that they run into one of the Eds, and Curly, he gets scammed out of his money, and the rest of the Stooges just go after the Eds, and it becomes the most comical versus match ever between the Eds and the Three Stooges. So that's what I think. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Darth Venom. Next comes from Burnouter7, who asks, what would happen if the Eds met Dee Dee, Dib, Gaz, and Gur? Well, I've already talked about Ed meeting Dee Dee, but I've already kind of answered that question. But if they met Dib and Gaz would want nothing to do with them. Dib would be like, "You're all insane or really stupid." And Gur, do not put Gur, Dee Dee, and Ed in a room together. There will be no survivors. All right. So there's that. Your second question is, what would happen in an Ed, Edd and Eddy Futurama crossover? I think what would happen is that Ed, Edd and Eddy, like the Eds, are out in the junkyard one day, and they discover the remnants of like an old machine, and it turns out to be a time machine, and takes them to the far future, where the first person they meet is Bender, who is like, "Hey, I like these kids. You're funny. You inflict pain on one another. I can watch you guys for hours." And like just have the Eds wander around the far future with Bender as their guide. So, yeah. Next question, and your final question is, what kind of benders would the Eds... Okay, what kind of benders would the Eds be? How long would it take for them to misuse their powers? So basically, if they were robots like Bender... if they were all like Bender, like the all models like Bender was, yeah, they would they would just completely fuck it up in under an hour. That's all it would take, an hour. Not even that, 11 minutes. So there you go. Think of those questions, Burnouter7. Next comes the Spawn117, whose first question is, what do you think of an Ed, Edd and Eddy Invader Zim crossover and an Ed, Edd and Eddy Detective Conan crossover? So Ed, Edd and Eddy and Invader Zim, I think it would be like Zim crash lands in the cul-de-sac, and the Eds discover his ship and want to use it as like and Eddy wants to show it off and want to make money off the ship, and Zim is trying to... It'd be like that episode where it's... I'm kind of making kind of like that episode where Zim tries to get his Voot Cruiser back from all those crazy alien people. And your next question, and for Detective Conan, I think it would be like maybe the Eds meet Conan while he's working a case, something like that. I don't know. Okay, second question. What would happen if the Eds met the DBZ abridged version of Mr. Popo, Heisenberg, Gary King from The World's End, and Gary... Okay, first person with abridged Popo. I'll tell you where they won't be. Safe. That's all I have to say about that. Heisenberg, I think, Walter would want nothing to do with the Eds. Even like he would like move to the cul-de-sac to just keep cooking his meth, and yeah, and the Eds just stumble upon it, and of course he wants nothing to do with them. But Eddy like blackmails him to sell coke so he can sell coke for him, or else he'll squeal on the cops for him or something like that. And Gary King from World's End. Maybe they run into each other while Eddy, the Eds are somehow in London, and they realize the drinking age is a lot lower, so they head out and do some drinking binges, and run into Gary, who's doing the same thing. And your third question is, what would be the Eds' reaction if they listened to Disturbed, Korn, Godsmack, Papa Roach, 3 Days Grace, and Eminem and AC/DC? I think the Eds Double D would be like, this is atrocious. I hate it. This is not music. This is just loud music. This is just loud sounds. Eddy would be like, I kind of like it, and Ed would be like, turn it up, turn it up. Yeah. So thank you for those questions, the Spawn 117. Next set of questions come from Chris Haddock, whose first question is, which movie aliens would Ed have a field day with? The Xenomorphs, Predator, or even E.T.? I think like the Xenomorphs, because they look like the Xenomorphs look like something that would come out of Ed's comic book. So I think out of all of them, he would just be most excited for the Xenomorphs. Second question: what do you think of all the possibilities if the Eds mix in with the world of Haruhi Suzumiya? The possibilities and dangers are endless. It would just be, I think personally, it would just be, the Eds trying to find out what Haruhi really is, and when they find out, Eddy would try his best to manipulate her to do everything he wants, or something like that. Okay, and your third question is, would Eddy change his greedy habits immediately after a big picture show, or would he still be scamming and testing the patience of his friends? I think what he would be doing, because let's face it, Eddy's never going to give up trying to be greedy or a need for money. I think that's going to be something that's going to keep going throughout the entire his entire personality. Is that he's just going to want more money. He can't help himself. He's totally Orange Lantern material. Let's face it, that's what he is. He's Orange Lantern material. So thank you for those questions, Chris. Next comes 146 Zigzag, whose first question is, fuck, marry, kill the Cankers. Okay, so assuming let's say they're a little older, legal age. Legal age. Think I'd kill May, fuck Lee, and marry Marie just so I could fuck her. There you go. There's the simple answer right there. Okay. Second question is, which supporting characters would you want them to have their own spin-off? The Kanker Sisters. I think that would be... The Kanker Sisters would probably have a pretty good... seeing their lives in the trailer park and what they do when they're... And I'd like to see what they do when they're not tormenting the Eds. That's something I want to see. What do they do on a daily basis? And as for... I think Rolf. Yeah, Rolf would also have another great spin-off. I'd love to see a Rolf show. And your second... Alright, thank you for those questions, Zigzag. And next comes Zach the Thunder King, who Zach's first question is, which character annoyed you the most? Johnny. Johnny was just goddamn annoying. Jimmy came in second place because he was such a puss bag, but Johnny, yeah, definitely Johnny. All right, favorite episodes from Ed, Edd and Eddy. I kind of answered this already. I guess, again, some of the episodes... Everything that had the Cankers in them were really great episodes when they had the Kanker Sisters in them. Those are really great episodes when Ed becomes a monster, or when they accidentally break reality. That was another good one. So those are a few episodes right there. Your second question is, do you think any of Eddy's scams will ever work? Nope. He causes his own demise, or Ed causes his demise. Either way, he's doomed forever. He's forever doomed. All right. Next set of questions come from Willie Stewart, who asks, did you see the Ed, Edd n Eddy movie, and if you did, what did you think of it, and how would you react to see Eddy's brother? Again, I kind of answered this question of did I see Ed, Edd n Eddy picture show? Yeah, I did answer this, so I'm sorry, Willie, I've already answered this question. I saw it, and I liked it. Second question, what is your least favorite episode? Least favorite episode? Least favorite episode. Least favorite episode. Least favorite episode. This is because all the Ed, Edd n Eddy episodes have something of worth watching of them. So I'm so tongue-tied it's not even funny. So I think one of my least favorite episodes, because of how kind of dull it is when Eddy goes nuts after everyone gets incredibly sick. Because again, I just feel like they didn't know what to do with the episode. It's just like, let's just have him go crazy. I think, I don't know, like, there aren't a lot of bad episodes for me when it comes to Ed, Edd n Eddy. And your third question is, what is one thing you did not like about each of the characters? For Eddy, the fact that he's too greedy for his own good and willing to sell out everybody. Ed, I have no problem with Ed. Double D, he's a control freak. Kevin, he can be a jerk. Sarah, she can be a bitch. Jimmy, total wimp. Johnny, way too annoying. The Kanker sisters, it's in their nature, so I don't really find them annoying at all. Just a little cruel. Yeah, mind you, cruel. Naz, completely dumb blonde. And Rolf's okay in my book. And Plank is the destroyer of souls. There is nothing wrong with Plank. So thank you for those questions, Willie Stewart. Next set of questions come from King Nazaru, who asks, first question, if you were to put the characters in a Game of Thrones if you were to put the Game of Thrones characters in a Game of Thrones fiction, what would they be in? Which would they be in? Oh, the Game of Thrones factions, excuse me. Game of Thrones factions. Like, which characters would go to each Game of Thrones faction? Interesting question we have here. Where would each of the Eds go in terms of, family? Faction of the family? I think, Eddy would be part of the Greyjoys. Yeah, Eddy would definitely be one of the Greyjoys. Or one of the Lannisters. He would be part of the yeah, probably Greyjoys. Maybe more the Greyjoys. Let's see. Double D would be with the Starks, or what's left of them. Ed would probably be with the Starks as well. Naz, Lannister, the Lannisters, Kevin, Baratheon. The Kanker sisters would probably be Baratheon as well, or, yeah, probably Baratheon. Sarah, also with Baratheon. Jimmy, Tully, he would be with House Tully. As for everyone else, I don't know. I really don't. Rolf would definitely be a Baratheon, though. I think he would... no, Rolf would be Dothraki. Yeah, Rolf would so be Dothraki. Second question. Which girl do you think Mephala, one of the 17 Daedric lords and goddess of spiders, sex, lies, and murder, would she manipulate and cause a strife for her amusement? I think out of all of them, I think it would be Naz. Definitely, she would go after Naz the most. And your third question is, what would happen if the governor from Walking Dead met the kids? He would manipulate all of them. It would be terrible. It would just be completely. It would just not end well. Is all I'm gonna say. It would just not end well for anybody. Okay. Staying with those questions, King Nazaru. Next set of questions come from Andre Partridge, who asks, how would the following characters react to the Eds? The Crystal Gems, Finn and Jake, Mordecai and Rigby, the Watersons, Cora, and her friends. Now let's see. Starting off with the Crystal Gems. I think Steven would have the most fun with them. I think Eddy and Garnet would just pull pranks on everybody, and Ed and Pearl would would hang out. I think that would be a lot of fun. But I think the most fun, I think Ed would hang out with Steven the most, while Garnet would just be like, I don't even care what's going on. As for Finn and Jake, Finn and Jake. I think Finn and Jake would just be... I think, yeah, for Finn and Jake, they would be like, oh, other humans, awesome! And Ed would just be like, stretch, stretchy dog, stretch! Mordecai and Rigby, they would, like Eddy the most would just hang out with Mordecai and Rigby the most, while Ed and Eddy are like, Ed and Double D would be like, oh, they're cool. Like, yeah, I think all the Eds would just be fast friends with Mordecai and Rigby. As for the Watersons, Ed would become instant friends with Richard, and meanwhile Eddy would try to scam Darwin and Gumball, while Anais and Double D would become, just talk about fun stuff, fun sciencey stuff. As for Cora and the rest of the group, Ed and Bolin would be having the time of their lives, and Asami and Double D would be hanging out. I don't know about Eddy. I think Cora would just get sick of Eddy. Like, when she found out some of her money's stolen, she would go right after Eddy. Second question. If the Eds crossed over into the Marvel Universe, how would they react? So many superheroes! That would be Ed's reaction. He would just be in nirvana if he saw all these superheroes and monsters and aliens and all that just running around. He would be in total nirvana. So yeah. Your next and your final question is, what is the best quote-unquote realistic cartoon in your opinion? Ed, Edd n Eddy, Doug, Hey Arnold, or Recess? Well, Ed, Edd n Eddy wasn't really realistic. It had some unrealistic moments, especially towards the end of the season. Doug, Hey Arnold also, they was pretty realistic, but it did have like some supernatural elements, like we got to see ghosts and even a giant monster fish. So I think the two would be Doug and Recess. Yeah, Doug first and foremost, with Recess at a close second for me. But yeah, Hey Arnold, I think, yeah, Doug would probably be the best realistic show. Or, Hey Arnold more so, now that I think about it. Hey Arnold would probably be more so. So, Hey Arnold. Okay. We now move, thank you for those questions, Andre. Now moving on to Robert Larson, whose first question is, what is your favorite pairing and least favorite pairing in the show? My favorite is Eddy and Lee, and my least favorite is Kevin and Ed. I have no problem. I don't bash ships or whatever. As I said before, I'm going to answer this one because he's asking favorite and least favorite. So found a little loophole there, Robert. So my favorite, of course, is Double D and Marie. It's kind of like it's like a gender-bent Beauty and the Beast. I really like just seeing how Ed would just react to being in a relationship with this incredibly strong punk rock chick. And I think if they did, if Ed and Marie got together in a relationship, I think she would help him loosen up a lot. Like, she would definitely help him loosen up a lot. So there's my favorite pairing. It's nice to see Eddy and... By the way, Robert, it's nice to see, the Eddy-Lee pairing get some love. You don't see that a lot. The Eddy and Lee pairing don't really get a lot of love. So that's really cool to see. As for least favorite, I think my least favorite is Naz with Anybody. Naz with Anybody just sucks. And your second question is, what is your favorite fan fiction? I think my favorite Ed, Edd and Eddy fan fiction is Bad Girls with Big Hearts. It really got to play around with high school drama, but still have it in the vein of the Ed, Edd and Eddy cartoon. It really felt like that. It really felt like something from the Ed, Edd and Eddy cartoon. And it was like, it's a huge epic. And when I say huge, I definitely mean huge. I mean, that thing is nearly like, what, 60 not even 60 chapters. It's long, I know that much. It's pretty damn long. That's all I can say is that it's pretty damn long. Anyway. And your final question is, I'm currently writing an Ed, Edd and Eddy Transformers crossovers. Do you have any ideas for me? P.S. I'm totally teaming up Cliffjumper with Marie. I'm going to answer this one because he's asking for any pointers for me for an Ed, Edd and Eddy Transformers crossover. Which I am really interested. I want to see that Ed, Edd and Eddy Transformers crossover. That sounds really cool. So I think one of the things is that I think what the big thing is that Ed's going to be completely geeking out the entire time of having giant robot friends. I would say, like I said with the partners, I think the partners that should be for them should be Eddy, Gears with Eddy, yeah, Eddy and Gears. Ed and Perceptor, yeah, Ed and Perceptor, yeah, not Ed, Double D. Double D with Perceptor. And for Ed, I don't know for Ed. Like I said, maybe Bumblebee or something, I don't know. As for, everyone else, I don't know who would get Autobot companions, but matching up Cliffjumper with Marie sounds very interesting. Their personalities aren't are totally different, so that's going to be interesting how they play off each other. All I can say really is, keep everyone in character. You got to have that it comes with all fan fiction, but I'm really excited for this. I think the best thing I can say is that don't make it too over the top. Do not make it way too over the top. Because don't make Ed, Edd and Eddy into don't make any of the Ed characters into Transformers. I know we kind of got away with that in New Iacon Chronicles of giving Korra a biomechanical form, like in Transformers Animated with Sari. But we kind of explained it that the Matrix of Leadership has spiritual energy, and the Avatars, of course, has spiritual energy inside of her. So we pretty much said, yeah, those two can mix because they can both have spiritual energy, and it just kind of flows better. But with Ed, Edd and Eddy, you don't get to do that with they don't really have spiritual stuff. So yeah. So that's a few pointers I can give to you. There's a few pointers I can give to you on that. All right. So thank those questions, Robert Larson. Next comes Treva Smolka, whose first question is, if you had to choose a character out of the cast of characters of Ed and Eddy, which one is your favorite? Just wondering. I've already answered this question before in the past. It's a tie between Ed and Marie, not only as a couple, but separately as well. Second question, what is your favorite Ed and Eddy special? Mine is nearly all of them. I can't choose just one. I can't choose just one. So in terms of favorite Ed and Eddy special, I think it's a tie for me between... Actually, no, I do love all of them. I love the Valentine's Day special. I love the Halloween special, and I love the Christmas special. Oh, it's all good. It's all really good shit. It's all really good. And your final question is, what is your opinion on Ed, Edd and Eddy, on the Ed, Edd and Eddy movie? We got to meet Eddy. I've already answered this. Yeah, I'm sorry, Treva, I've already answered this. I've been getting a lot of, did I see the Big Picture show? Yeah, I've already seen it, so I'm sorry, I'm going to skip that. But thank you for the other questions, and moving on now to Linerman0245, whose first question is, how would Ed react after meeting every horror movie monster known to man, including found footage ones? They would be no match for the might of Lothor! Yeah. The moment Ed goes into his Lothor mode, all those horror movie monsters are fucked. Next question. How would the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast, especially Melinda May, react to the Eds? Oh, they would hate them. They would completely hate the Eds. And all the time, I think May would just be like, can I kill them? Can I kill them? Can I kill them? Okay. Alright, final question. Since you hate Jimmy and Sarah so much, let's have a bet. Armed with only one shotgun, a unicorn-themed car, a rocket launcher with heat-seeking missiles, and a baseball bat, how long would he, Okay, hang on. Since you hate Jimmy and Sarah so much, let's have a bet. Armed with only a shotgun, a unicorn-themed car, a rocket launcher with heat-seeking missiles, and a baseball bat, how long will he survive against these 5 waves of enemies? What wave would kill them both? The infected from Last of Us, the Governor and his people, the Reavers from Firefly, vampires from 30 Days of Night, and a squad of Zonanoids from Guyver. Oh, he'd be torn apart just when he gets to... I think I would put the Governor and his soldiers first, then the infected from Last of Us. So they would be the first wave, and yeah, they wouldn't even last one wave because Jimmy doesn't like violence, and Sarah's just... I hate Sarah. Alright, next set, think of those questions. Next set of questions come from the Omnitron 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Omnitron's first question is, if you were to cast all the Marvel kids as Marvel character, all the kid... let me try that again. Sorry, I'm coming down from a fever, so I'm a little out of it. That's why I've been kind of tongue-tied the most in this Q&A. Okay, if you were to cast all the kids as Marvel characters, who would be who? Eddy would be Doctor Doom. Double D would be Mr. Fantastic. Ed would be The Thing. Sarah would be She-Hulk. Jimmy would be Aquarion. Yeah, there's a character you guys haven't heard from in a while. Aquarion. And Kevin as maybe Ghost Rider, Rolf as Hercules, Naz, I don't know for Naz, Johnny, maybe like a more insane, maybe Kick-Ass. And for the Kanker sisters, I got nothing there too. So sorry. All right. If the Eds were to eventually marry the Kankers, for real that is, how long would you see them lasting? Well, the thing is that in the deleted scene of, the episode where, I can't remember the name of it, but you know the episode where, Eddy wakes up, gives everyone jobs, and when they wake up, they're all old and decrepit. Well, there's actually a deleted scene where Eddy discovers that they've been married to the Kanker sisters for a long time. But anyway, I think they show that they've been married for a long time. So I think in terms of relationships, I think Ed and May would just love hanging out with each other. Marie and Double D would hit their rough. Yeah, Marie and Double D would hit their rough spots because they're two polar opposite personalities. Whereas Eddy and Lee would constantly be just yell at each other, divorce, get back together, divorce again, and just get to that point until they're, file a restraining order against one another. And your final question is, what is your favorite version of Ed? Monster Ed, Lothar the Viking, or any other crazy thing he's dressed up as? Monster Ed. Definitely Monster Ed. Let's face it, that was one of the coolest things ever, seeing Ed as a monster. And thank you for those questions, Omnitron. Next set of questions come from Victor Da Silva, who asks, if the Eds were to meet the cast of Shin-Chan, how would they react and why? Oh, it'd be hell. It'd be total hell if the Eds met Shin-Chan. Oh, that'd be That'd be hell. I can't even imagine it. Okay, if they were to be a console war in the Ed, Edd n Eddy universe, what system would they own and why? Okay, so he's basically asking, what video games would the Eds own? What video games would the Eds own for their own, as their own consoles? Eddy looks like an Xbox 360 guy. Double D, I think, would be Nintendo. I think he would be more of Nintendo stuff. Ed would probably be, PS4. I don't know for everyone else, though. Probably Kevin would also be Xbox. He would be Xbox as well. No, Ed would actually be more Microsoft. Yeah, Double D would be Microsoft, and maybe more Nintendo. Jimmy and Sarah would be Nintendo as well. Naz, PS4. The Kanker Sisters, PS4. I don't know about everyone else. I think Rolf would be like, why does Rolf need this silly virtual whatchamathingy? Rolf has no time for this. And your last question, since Disney XD is airing Doraemon on TV, how would they react if they found that gadget cat that can pull stuff out of a pouch? And if so, what kind of scams would they use him for? I think in terms of scams, they would definitely be using him to pull out all these different gadgets, all this rich and expensive machinery that Eddy can sell off to everyone. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, so yeah, that is all the questions. That is all the questions. Once again, I want to thank all of you guys for asking questions. This was a lot of fun. And yeah, once again, if I did not answer someone's question, that means YouTube was being a dick, so I do apologize again for that. And yeah, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm out.